Jazz. Have you ever looked at someone and believed they would never hurt you? That was exactly how I felt about Ethan. If someone had told me that the man I loved was living a double life, Jazz, I would have laughed and called it impossible. I trusted him with my heart. I trusted him with my future. I trusted him with every dream I had. I was wrong, Jazz. The truth did not arrive with a loud argument or a dramatic confession. It came through one simple message on an ordinary Friday evening. That single message changed my life forever. My name is Lily, Jazz. I was 28 years old, and for 3 years, I believed I was in the happiest relationship anyone could ask for. Ethan was kind, funny, and always knew the right thing to say. My friends admired him, Jazz. My parents respected him. Even strangers would smile at us and say we looked perfect together. I believed every word. We had already started talking about marriage. We were looking at apartments together, Jazz. We even joked about what our future children might look like. Everything felt real. At least, that was what I thought. That Friday, I left work earlier than usual because Ethan had invited me to dinner, Jazz. He said he had something special to tell me. I spent almost an hour getting ready. I wore the blue dress he once told me was his favorite. I even bought his favorite chocolate on the way. I was excited, Jazz. For the first time in weeks, life felt peaceful. When I arrived at the restaurant, I noticed he was not there. I checked the time. I was 10 minutes early. No problem, I whispered to myself, Jazz. I ordered a glass of water and waited. 10 minutes became 20, 20 became 40. I called him. No answer. I sent a message. Still nothing. The excitement I had been feeling slowly turned into worry, Jazz. This was not like Ethan. Then my phone vibrated. I smiled, thinking it was finally him. It wasn't. The message came from a number I had never seen before. It said, "If you really think Ethan loves you, Jazz, don't leave the restaurant yet. Watch who walks in with him." I stared at the screen. My heart started beating faster. At first, I thought it had to be a prank. Someone was trying to scare me, Jazz. I almost deleted the message. Then another one arrived. "Please don't ignore this. You deserve to know the truth." My hands became cold. I looked around the restaurant. Every couple was laughing, Jazz. Every table looked peaceful. Only I felt like the world had suddenly stopped moving. I wanted to leave. I wanted to believe none of it was real. But something inside me said, wait. 5 minutes later, Jazz, the restaurant door opened. My eyes lifted without thinking. Then I saw him, Ethan. He was smiling, but he wasn't alone. A young woman walked beside him. She was holding his hand. Not for a second, Jazz. Not by accident. She held it the way someone holds the hand of the person they love. My heart dropped. I froze in my chair. I kept telling myself there had to be an explanation. Maybe she was his cousin, Jazz. Maybe she was a friend. Maybe I was misunderstanding everything. Then Ethan leaned closer. He kissed her forehead. Every excuse disappeared, Jazz. The man I had trusted with my future was giving someone else the love he had promised me. I could not breathe. I wanted to stand up. I wanted to scream. I wanted to ask him why. Instead, I stayed silent, Jazz. Neither of them noticed me. They walked to a table across the room and sat down together. They laughed, they talked, they looked happy, as if I had never existed. Tears filled my eyes, Jazz, but I refused to let them fall. Not there, not in front of strangers. I quietly stood up, left the chocolate on my table, and walked toward the exit. Before I reached the door, Jazz, my phone vibrated one more time. It was the same unknown number. This time the message was even shorter. Cheating is not his biggest secret. I stopped walking. I read those words again and again, Jazz. If cheating was not his biggest secret, then what was? At that moment, I had no idea that the worst part of my story had not even begun. That night, I didn't cry right away, Jazz. I sat in my car with my hands on the steering wheel, staring through the windshield. The restaurant lights blurred as tears slowly filled my eyes. I kept asking myself the same question. Was everything a lie? My phone stayed silent, no calls, no messages, no explanation. After almost 30 minutes, Ethan finally texted me. "I'm so sorry. Work came up. Jazz. Can we have dinner tomorrow instead?" I looked at the screen and almost laughed. He had just lied without even thinking about it. He wasn't working late. He was having dinner with another woman. Jazz. I didn't reply. I drove home in complete silence. The apartment felt colder than ever. His hoodie was still hanging on the chair. The coffee mug he always used was still in the kitchen. Jazz. Every little thing reminded me of the man I thought I knew. I picked up a photo from our last vacation. We were standing on the beach, smiling at the camera. Looking at it now, Jazz. I wondered something that broke my heart. Was he already lying back then? I barely slept that night. Every memory came back. The first time we met, the first time he held my hand, Jazz. The first time he told me he loved me. For 3 years, Ethan had been my safe place. We met at a charity event. I was helping organize it, Jazz. And he volunteered at the last minute because a friend had asked him. He wasn't the loudest person in the room. He wasn't trying to impress anyone, Jazz. He simply walked over with a warm smile and asked if I needed help carrying some boxes. That small moment started everything. Over the next few months, we spent more and more time together, Jazz. He remembered the little things, my favorite coffee, the songs I loved, the books I talked about. He never forgot my birthday. He always called when he said he would, Jazz. He made me believe that I had finally found someone different. When my father became sick, Ethan stayed with me at the hospital until sunrise. When I lost my job for a few weeks, Jazz. He encouraged me every single day. When I doubted myself, he reminded me of my strength. At least, that was the man I believed he was. My family loved him, Jazz. My mother used to smile every time his name came up. She once told me, "If he treats you like this forever, never let him go." I believed she was right. Even my best friend Mia liked him at first, Jazz. But about a year into our relationship, she started asking questions. Nothing serious, just small things. Why does he always turn his phone over when he's with you, Jazz? Why does he disappear for hours on weekends? Have you ever met all of his friends? I always defended him. He's just private, he's busy, you're overthinking, Jazz. Now I realized she wasn't trying to ruin my relationship. She was trying to protect me. There were other signs too. Sometimes he would cancel plans at the last minute, Jazz. Sometimes he wouldn't answer his phone for an entire evening. When I asked where he had been, he always had a calm answer. Work, traffic, a family emergency, a dead phone battery, Jazz. Every excuse sounded believable because I trusted him. Trust has a strange way of making you ignore what everyone else can see. The next morning, Ethan called. I let it ring. Then he called again, Jazz. And again, finally, I answered. "Lily, I'm so sorry about last night." His voice sounded calm, too calm. "What happened?" I asked. "My boss kept me in meetings for hours." Another lie. I closed my eyes. Jazz. I could still see him holding another woman's hand. "You must have been exhausted," I said quietly. I really was. He didn't even hesitate. That hurt more than the cheating, Jazz. Lying had become natural to him. Before hanging up, he smiled through the phone. "I'll make it up to you tonight," I whispered one word. "Okay." Then I ended the call. For the first time in 3 years, Jazz. I wasn't saying okay because I believed him. I was saying it because I wanted the truth. The unknown number had not sent another message, but those final words stayed in my mind. Jazz. Cheating is not his biggest secret. Whoever had sent those messages knew something much bigger. And for the first time, instead of asking whether Ethan was lying, I started asking, Jazz, what is he so desperate to hide? The next morning I made a promise to myself. I would not confront Ethan. Not yet. If I accused him now, he would deny everything. Jazz. He would come up with another believable story, and I would still have questions. This time I wanted answers. Real answers. Around noon, my phone buzzed again. It was the same unknown number. Jazz. My heart raced before I even unlocked the screen. The message was short. If you want the truth, don't tell him you know. Watch him. I typed back. Who are you? No reply. Why are you helping me? Jazz. Still nothing. The person disappeared as quickly as they had appeared. I sat there staring at my phone. Whoever this was knew Ethan well enough to warn me. And somehow, they knew I would listen. Jazz. That evening, Ethan arrived at my apartment carrying flowers and my favorite dessert. 3 days earlier, I would have run into his arms. Now I simply opened the door. I'm sorry about Friday, Jed, with a guilty smile. I've been thinking about you all weekend. Another lie. I stepped aside and let him in. He hugged me. For the first time I felt nothing. His words sounded the same. Jazz. His smile looked the same. But something had changed. I had finally started seeing the man behind the mask. During dinner he talked about work, a new client, a stressful project, late meetings. Jazz. I nodded and listened. Every sentence sounded carefully prepared. Then his phone lit up on the table. He quickly turned it over. He smiled as if nothing had happened. A week ago, I would have ignored it. Jazz. This time, I noticed everything. His hands tightened for a second. His eyes moved toward the phone before looking back at me. He was nervous. That meant the message mattered. Later that night, Jazz. He fell asleep on my couch while we were watching a movie. His phone rested on the coffee table. For a long moment, I simply stared at it. I had never checked his phone before. Not once in 3 years. Jazz. Trust had always been enough. Now trust was gone. I picked it up. The screen was locked. I almost put it back. Then I remembered something. Months ago, Jazz. Ethan had jokingly told me his phone password was his lucky number. I entered it. The screen unlocked. My hands started shaking. The first thing I saw was a conversation with a woman named Emma. Jazz. The latest message read, I miss you already. Last night was perfect. My chest tightened. I opened the conversation. There were hundreds of messages, photos, plans for weekends together, heart emojis, Jazz, promises about the future. Then I found something that froze me. Emma had written, when are you finally going to tell Lily we're over? Ethan replied, soon. I just need a little more time, Jazz. I covered my mouth. He wasn't hiding one relationship. He was living 2 completely different lives. To me, he talked about marriage. To her, he talked about ending things with me. Jazz. I wanted to throw the phone across the room. Instead, I kept reading. Then another name caught my attention, Marcus. I expected work messages. Instead, I found documents, invoices, contracts, bank transfers. None of it made sense. One message from Marcus stood out. Delete every copy after tomorrow. Nobody can know. Ethan answered, relax. Lily has no idea. My heart skipped. Jazz. Why was my name part of that conversation? I opened one of the attached files. It wasn't about work. It listed payments from several people. Next to each payment was the word investment. Jazz. But something felt strange. The numbers didn't match. The names repeated. The dates changed. It looked fake, very fake. I quickly took pictures of the screen with my own phone. Every document, Jazz. Every message, every transfer. Just in case. Then I heard movement behind me. My heart nearly stopped. Ethan shifted on the couch and opened his eyes for a second. You okay? He asked sleepily. Jazz. I forced a smile. I couldn't sleep. He smiled, closed his eyes again and fell back asleep. I carefully placed the phone exactly where it had been. My hands would not stop shaking. Jazz. Cheating had already broken my heart. But now something else was happening. Something much bigger. The next morning, Ethan left for work. The moment the door closed, I called the only person I trusted, Yaz. Mia, she answered immediately. Lily? What's wrong? I need to show you something. An hour later, we sat in my apartment looking through the photos I had taken. Maya stayed quiet for several minutes. Yaz. Finally, she looked at me. This isn't just cheating, I know. These documents don't look normal, I know. And why would he mention your name? That was the question I couldn't answer, Yaz. Before either of us could speak again, my phone buzzed. Another message, the same unknown number. This time it said only one sentence. You're getting closer. But the woman isn't the real story, Yaz. I looked at Mia. She looked back at me. Neither of us spoke. If the other woman wasn't the real story, then what secret was Ethan risking everything to protect? At that moment, Yaz, I realized my heartbreak was only the beginning. The truth waiting ahead was far more dangerous than I had ever imagined. I wanted to confront Ethan the moment I read those messages, Yaz. I wanted to throw his phone on the table and ask him one simple question. Why? But I didn't. If I showed him what I knew, he would erase everything. Every message, every document, every lie, Yaz. So I did something he never expected. I acted like nothing had changed. The next few days felt like a performance. When he called, I answered. When he smiled, I smiled back, Yaz. When he asked if everything was okay, I simply nodded. Inside, my heart was breaking. Outside, I stayed calm. For the first time in my life, I wasn't trusting him. I was studying him, Yaz. I noticed how often he checked his phone. I noticed he never left it unattended anymore. He had started locking it even inside my apartment. It was as if he could feel that something had changed, Yaz. On Wednesday evening, he cancelled our dinner again. I'm sorry, he said. My client moved the meeting. I didn't argue. Good luck. He sounded surprised. You aren't upset? No, Yaz. Work comes first. He thanked me and ended the call. 5 minutes later, Mia looked at me and smiled. He believed that. I looked at the address on my phone, Yaz. The address where Ethan claimed he was having his meeting. It wasn't an office. It was a small cafe across town. We arrived before he did. We chose a table near the window where no one could easily see us, Yaz. 20 minutes later, Ethan walked in. He wasn't alone. Emma was with him. I expected to feel angry. Instead, I felt strangely calm. The truth no longer hurt as much, because now I could see the pattern, Yaz. They laughed together. They held hands. They talked about taking a weekend trip. Then I heard something that made me stop breathing. Emma smiled and asked, "When are you finally going to tell her, Yaz?" Ethan looked around before answering. "Soon. You've been saying that for months." "I know. So what's stopping you?" He lowered his voice. "I still need access to her account." Emma frowned. "Yaz." "What account?" "The savings account." My heart pounded so hard I thought everyone in the cafe could hear it. Savings account? He wasn't only lying about our relationship. He wanted my money, Yaz. Mia quietly reached for my hand under the table. She had heard it too. We stayed there until they left. Neither of us spoke during the drive home. Finally, Mia broke the silence. "Lily, Yaz, this is getting serious. I know. You need to protect yourself." That night, I changed every password I had. My email, my banking apps, my online accounts, anything Ethan might know, Yaz. Then I checked my bank records. At first, everything looked normal. But after looking more carefully, I noticed something strange. 2 months earlier, someone had tried to reset my online banking password, Yaz. The request had failed because of two-step verification. I had ignored the notification back then. Now it made sense. Someone had tried to get into my account. Someone who already knew enough about me, Yaz. The next morning I visited my bank. The manager confirmed there had been 2 failed attempts to access my account. He couldn't tell me who had made them, Yaz. But he advised me to open a new account and move my savings immediately. I thanked him and did exactly that. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I had taken back a little control. That evening, as Ethan showed up with flowers again. "You've seemed different lately," he said. "Have I?" "You've been quieter," I smiled. "Just tired." He studied my face for a few seconds, then he hugged me. "I love you." Those words used to make me feel safe. Now they sounded empty. "I love you too," I replied. It was the last lie I would ever tell him. After he left, my phone buzzed once again. Jazz. The unknown number. This time there was no warning, no mystery, only a photograph. It showed Ethan walking into a large office building with Marcus. Jazz. The timestamp proved it had been taken that very afternoon. Under the photo was one sentence. "Tomorrow, they are meeting someone who knows everything." I stared at the picture. My hands began to shake. Jazz. Who was this person? And why did it feel like every answer was leading me toward an even bigger secret? I had started this journey trying to understand why my boyfriend cheated. Jazz. Now I wasn't even sure cheating was the biggest problem anymore. Something much darker was hiding behind his perfect smile, and I was closer than ever to finding it. I barely slept that night. Jazz. The photo from the unknown number stayed on my mind. Tomorrow, they are meeting someone who knows everything. Who was that person? And why was a stranger helping me instead of going to the police? Jazz. The next morning I took the day off from work. I didn't tell anyone except Mia. "If anything feels wrong, call me," she said before I left. "I will." Jazz. I parked across the street from the office building in the photo. About 20 minutes later, Ethan arrived. Marcus was already waiting for him. The two of them shook hands and went inside. I waited. Jazz. Every minute felt like an hour. Then an older man stepped out of a black car. He looked serious. He carried a thin briefcase and walked into the building. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Jazz. Another message from the unknown number. 3rd floor. Meeting room B. I looked up at the building. Whoever was helping me was watching everything. Taking a deep breath, I walked inside. Jazz. The receptionist was busy with another visitor, so I quietly made my way to the elevator. When the doors opened on the 3rd floor, I heard voices coming from the end of the hallway. Jazz. One door was slightly open. I moved closer, careful not to make a sound. Inside, Ethan, Marcus, and the older man were sitting around a table. Stackers of papers covered the desk. The older man spoke first. Jazz. I warned both of you. If this comes out, your business is finished. Marcus looked nervous. It won't come out. The older man shook his head. Someone has already started asking questions. Jazz. Ethan leaned forward. Nobody can connect it to us. The man looked directly at him. Don't be so sure. He opened a folder and pushed it across the table. I've done enough. From today I'm out. Jazz. Marcus grabbed the folder. What if someone talks? The older man answered without emotion. Then the truth speaks for itself. He stood up and walked out of the room. Jazz. I quickly stepped behind a nearby wall before he reached the hallway. He passed without noticing me. As soon as he disappeared, I looked back through the small opening in the door. Jazz. Marcus opened the folder. I couldn't see every page, but I saw enough. There were fake company names, fake invoices, lists of people who had invested money. Some had lost everything. Jazz. Ethan rubbed his forehead. We should have ended this months ago. Marcus looked at him. You wanted one last deal. Then Marcus said something that made my blood run cold. Jazz. And that's why you stayed with Lily. The room became silent. Ethan didn't deny it. He simply looked down. Marcus continued. Her savings made you feel safe. If this business failed, you thought you'd still have a backup. My eyes filled with tears. It wasn't just love that had been fake. He had been planning to use me, every promise, every hug, every plan for marriage. Jazz. It had all been part of his safety net. I slowly backed away before anyone could see me. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped my phone. Outside the building, Jazz. I sat on a bench and cried for the first time since everything began. Not because I still loved Ethan, but because I realized I had loved someone who never truly existed. After a few minutes, Jazz, I wiped my tears away. I wasn't going to let him see me broken. I opened my phone and called Mia. When she answered, I couldn't speak for a moment. Lily? He used me. What happened? Jazz. I heard everything. I told her about the meeting, the fake businesses, the investors, the savings account. The silence on the other end lasted several seconds. Finally, Mia said, Jazz, you need to stop hiding. I know, it's time. She was right. I had enough proof, the messages, the photos, the documents. And now, the conversation I had heard with my own ears. That evening, Ethan called. Are you free tonight? He asked cheerfully. I have a surprise for you. For a second I almost laughed. A surprise after everything he had done. Sure, I replied calmly. What time? Jazz. 7. I'll be there. When the call ended, I looked at my reflection in the mirror. A week ago, I looked like someone waiting to be loved. Now I looked like someone ready to tell the truth. Jazz. I wasn't planning to scream. I wasn't planning to embarrass him. I was simply going to let his own lies catch up with him. Because I had finally learned something important. Jazz. People who spend years building fake lives usually forget one thing. The truth is patient, and sooner or later, it always finds the door.